looked okay in the preseason. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I could be. But I didn't know they had so many running backs. It's really interesting how the, like I said, it was just we all go to our different kind of camps, and it's like, oh, this is what's happening on my team. There's, hey, how's your team? Well, Troy Maine Pope. We're really hoping this undrafted running back can be fit. He's been great, in the preseason. And you're like, well, he would be, in the top 19 on our team. It's kind of interesting. It's like the Dolphins are just really that desperate to find a running back. Even with Arian Foster, they're that desperate to find a running back.
Yeah, he hasn't shown a lot in the preseason. So
don't answer
but he's
that.
a slow starter. He's a slow starter.
Do something more importantly, Todd. Introduce our guest for the show.
I will be happy to bring on the savior of this train wreck that we call a show. Kwayu Graham, he's a coach at Oak Ridge High School. His son is a sophomore star, and I do mean star, at running back. And he also coaches, he's a position coach for the fabulous top 20 national talent and University of Clemson commit T. Higgins. Coach, thanks so much for being on with us.
Hey, thank you for having me again. Really enjoy your show.
It is, you may have a brain injury if you enjoy our show, but we're glad that you're back on here again. Team has started off great. I mean, you guys had a really tough and big win against Farragut last night. What's been the biggest positive from the season so far?
Just it's been a joy. Out of 16, 17 years of coaching, I've been a part of some real good teams and love them all. But it's been a joy to coach this team every day at practice. Practices are it's not a coach's utopia, but you can see the improvement even for us, for the coaching staff, for us together and working together and just it's easy. You come to practice, you don't even notice that the practice is over, and it just go through. You got a lot of kids that are hungry to learn and hungry to work, and we really, really, really pushed our kids this year. It's their togetherness and just their willingness to do whatever it takes to achieve has been a joy to be a part of and a joy to watch, and just watching their growth. Every day this team gets better. Every day in practice they work on little things. And commend the coaches. Coach Gaddis he reminds me of Coach Gaddis in 1988. He's
wow.
The expectation for coaches, the expectation for players. Man, it's really been a joy this year.
And what's it like to be coaching the same team that your son's on? Of course, he's been really successful so far, and of course he had that huge run last night. What are your hopes for his future in football?
My hopes. Well, I actually have two sons on the team. I have Sherrod. He's a rising. You'll hear about him and maybe next year. It's a lot of receivers, but he's a talented kid, and Jordan. Just like any father, I want him to do the right things in life. I want him to be a man and take responsibility for all, both good and bad. I want him to really work hard academically, to give himself choices in life. And as far as football, I just want him to continue to love playing the game. Right now, Jordan, my kids only played 6 years of football. Basically, when we moved to North Carolina, that was their first year of football. So for him, he loves the game. He loves to jump up and try to bump chests. He's nowhere near T's chest when they jump, but he loves that. He loves when other guys score and get excited. He loves the big hits. And his biggest thing, and he loves to see Coach Gaddis athletes. But as far as my son's future in football, I don't know if he has a future in football. I just want him to have a positive future in life. And if he's able to play football in the future or even in high school, continue to do what he's been doing. He's been very blessed to have made some plays as a freshman and sophomore. But for him, it's the fun of the game right now. I don't think we have any agenda with him in football right now.
Before Lee jumps in, I just have to say that this is exactly why we love having you on, Coach. The comment that before you even talked about football, you're talking about academics for him. And football, it's all about the enjoyment of the game. I mean, man, like Lee said, what an awesome guy you are. I mean, seriously, it's just amazing.
Thank you.
Lee,
Well, and we don't want you to compare players because we know you've had several very good players, great players over the years. But, T. Higgins is nationally respected. So where does he need to improve as a football player?
I think the biggest thing with T is mentally. I think T is so humble that he doesn't – the things he does, honestly, are natural. Everything is natural. If you tell T to go out and run a 4.4, this is how you run a 4.4. This guy runs a 4.43. You got to beat him, and he'll beat the guy. The ball's up in the ceiling, and he'll come down with the ball. He's by far the best athlete I've seen, and he's not even at his potential. The things he has to grow on, it's more like I said, it's mental things. It's believing in himself enough, and you would think he doesn't believe in himself after all this coverage and all this, but he's so humble that and it's so natural for him that he doesn't see what everyone else sees. So he still has fears. He still questions some things about himself. T is faster than T thinks he is. I learned from a scout to see how fast a kid, coaches can give scouts and recruiters times and stuff, but when they turn on the tape, when you have a geometric form where you have certain numbers and things or you have a diameter of this and this is this long and that, you can time a person at any time because, see, in football you have field markings every 5 yards. So to see how fast a kid is, you see how many strides he takes and how many seconds it take him to run three or four lines. And that's how you can tell a 4.4 kid from a 4.6 kid. The great recruiters and coaches are good at that. That's why Alabama is so good. You can tell them what you want, but when they turn on that film, they're great at knowing what you can do. A star doesn't mean anything until they see you on film. And with T, it's basically trusting himself. He's such a great athlete that from January to December the 31st, he's involved in something competitive, meaning there's no downtime or time for him to prepare himself and his body to be a better athlete if he can be a better athlete. I mean, weight room time he doesn't get. Training time he doesn't get because after one sport, he goes into basketball, which he's an elite basketball player. And there's a lot of expectations on him. After basketball season, which our basketball team is very good. They play all the way to March every year. And so you're talking about March, and then you give him a couple weeks off to prepare his body and to just get himself over the rigor of basketball. And guess what? We're in spring practice. So we go to spring practice. Right after spring practice is over, he goes straight to AAU basketball circuit, and that goes all the way up to football starts. So there's no time for T to prepare his body. When he gets in college, he's already in high school a phenom, but he will be not just his acts of what he can do, but just physically presence. He will be a phenom. He has muscle tone that when he fills out, he will be Johnson-like, Calvin Johnson-like. And I'm telling you, when he get a chance to work out and eat properly and those things.
Yeah, and I made the joke to somebody yesterday, somebody who has a daughter who played very good high school basketball, actually still plays, but that it seems like there's always two people on T wherever he goes, and I'm wondering if maybe the Oak Ridge staff just allows those two players to kind of follow him to the sideline at this point because they're always going to be on him. But how much presence does him being on the field influence the offense? For instance, Jordan's had a lot of success. The offense has a lot of success. If T's not there next year, do you still see the same kind of success for the offense?
Yes, because we have a system. You notice how many catches the first couple games. First game doesn't count because I think T and Jordan may have played a quarter and a half. But the second two games were pretty good teams. No disrespect to Clinton. Clinton has some potential, but they're not. Right now they're struggling. But the second two teams defensively were very good. And what we can do with our system is open up some things for other people. We have a kid, Trey Jackson, who will come on the scene eventually. He's a sophomore, but he has some wow in him also. We have some receivers that'll be back the next couple of years. Last night, Caleb Martin had touchdown and several grabs, big grabs. A kid named Tyrese Pendergrass is going to be special. Jeremy Mitchell, special. These are sophomores that I'm naming. We have a freshman, Isaiah Johnson, special. The quarterback with the freshman team, I can't say his last name, Jack. I ain't going to try to say his last name, but as a defensive back, he can be special. We have a lot of skilled guys, but at the end of the day, it's our system. We have a system in place for teams that don't have skilled guys to be successful. Offensively, we do. So with or without T, yes, T brings a lot. You can't stop, in which we haven't even really unveiled our triple option game this year, but you cannot stop a triple option attack without secondary support. You know, I guess Jordan and T has made it to where, hey, let's hold it off till we need it, because in one play, Jordan can go 70 yards. T's going to take 2 to 3. Farragut put 3 people on T last night. And as Coach Gaddis say, it doesn't matter. We'll still give him the ball. But to your question, because we're in a system and we have a scheme that's conducive for everyone to touch the ball, and we have guys that if you give them a step to see you at all those positions, will it hurt with T being gone? I think it'll hurt us more mentally than schematically. But let's enjoy him while he's here now. We still have 12 more games, so let's keep him around while we can.
Ted?
Coach Graham, how you doing? This is Ted Hicks. Want to just ask you a couple of questions. I live in New York, and I don't have the privilege of watching Oak Ridge play, but I want to, for someone from the outside, tell us what's going to be the difference between this year's team versus last year's team.
Togetherness. Togetherness. It's together. Okay. And they believe in each other. We had a player his freshman year who would have been a top recruit, no doubt. He's a freshman, a 6'5" kid, basketball player. He would have been a top recruit as an offensive lineman. I don't know if he would have gotten to T stature, but he would have been a Division I recruit. As a freshman, he had to go against Darrell Middleton, and we had another defensive end. I can't think of his name. He's at Tennessee Tech now. He has to go against those guys as a freshman, and he held his own. Basketball player, and that winter, he worked his butt off. I mean, he got bigger going into his sophomore year. We had a lot of anticipation for him, and we he lost his life, and that his spirit is going to always be around this program and these seniors. These kids were all together. They were seniors with him. Don Colquitt was able to talk him out to come out in football. He was a soccer player, a soccer goalie, so he had great feet, played basketball. And he grew from about 6'1", a goofy 6'1", to 6'4", 6'5", in a year's time, and continued. Didn't really know much about football. He came out and played receiver with me the first couple of weeks in the summer his freshman year, and then he moved. I told him, I said, Joey, I said, I like you. Maybe we can play you at tight end. That's my way to move him to tackle. My nice way to say you're going to play tackle, because that year we didn't really use the tight end. We were a spread offense. And he said, sure, Coach. And he went down and with the offensive lineman, and he came and told me one day, he said, Coach, they do a lot of hitting over there. I said, yeah, they do. And I thought he was going to try to come back and play receiver for me, but asked to play receiver, and he turned and looked at me, and he had a. If you ask anybody in Oak Ridge that knew Joey, it was always, they're going to say he had a peculiar smile. It was like, it was a sarcastic looking smile or grin. He never really got real big with it, but it just look at you, give it to you, And that's what everyone remembers the most about him. He kind of turned and looked and he said, I like that part of it. And I was like, wow. And he learned the game. He basically learned the game within a year. And going into his sophomore year, we had great anticipation. I remember Big Darrell was saying that when he had passed away, he said, Coach, that kid was going to be special. And he said, I just don't understand, and that kid there his spirit is around this team and that senior class, and they're a great group of kids. T. Higgins is in that senior class, but as a class, they're just good football players. Not a bunch of great athletes, just good football players that love playing football. If you look outside, you'll see about 10, 15 of them out there throwing the ball or playing touch football, and Coach Gaddis had to walk out there and tell them, guys, come on, we need anyone hurt. But they're just good football players. But the difference between this year and the other years is togetherness. These kids are together. They believe in each other. They believe in what we're telling them. As I said earlier, this has been the easiest and so far the most gratifying year that I've coached. It's days that we don't have great days at practice. It's mistakes we make every day, doing every game that we've made that we have to correct. But when you issue a challenge to this group of kids, they don't fold. And you wouldn't think of them as a tough group, but they're mentally tough. And if that's the biggest difference between this year, and I guess I could say togetherness and mental toughness.
And Coach Graham, a follow-up question would be, what does Oak Ridge need to do to win the state championship this year?
Stay healthy, continue to improve every week offensively. Defensively, we know our defense coordinator does a great job of preparation. He does a great job of teaching. Our defense has been so good since I've been the 4 years I've been here that there is an expectation for them to be great. Consistency defensively, fundamentally sound offensively, defensively, and special teams. We have to, of course, to win the state championship, you have to have breaks. You have to have things to go your way. And just continue to improve and the emergence of other players to beat teams, because what we've done, offense coordinator Brian Wyatt and Coach Gaddis have done a great job of basically theming games to where this is our theme and this is what we're going to do. Last night we did a great job of tried to do a great job with 3 people following but getting T involved, and we were patient as coaches. We got T involved. We opened up some things. Caleb Martin, the receiver backside, made some big plays. Caleb Jackson made some plays. Kimbrough was able to run and on the counter plays that we have. And eventually, Trey Jackson was able to pop some up the middle. The quarterback made some good throws. Eventually, Little Jordan was able to pop one, caught the ball deep. And so what we're doing each game, Coach Gaddis has put a theme of what we're going to do offensively. And we've been able to keep with the theme and be patient with the theme. And what it's doing is opening up other things, because teams watch film. With that huddle that they have now, trust me, every team is going to know everything that you do. And with us, I feel sorry for having to prepare for us offensively. Every team knows that our defense is going to be good. They're going to be sound. But offensively, what do you do? Do you take 3 people and understand we hadn't really not put in, but unveiled our triple option game, and we're a triple option team. We haven't really had to do that yet. And what do? Do you take 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive backs and just put them over there with T? Well, if you do that, then Jordan Graham, Trey Jackson, Kimbrough, Caleb Martin, Johnny Stewart will kill you. You know, do you what teams are doing now, you put your better defenders on the opposite side because we are a double wing team or a flex bone team of Jordan Graham to prevent him from going to the edge. We're going to make you try to stop him from going to the edge, but eventually he's going to come inside the edge. The B-back, Jackson, Trey Jackson, is going to come inside. The quarterback going to fake the toss to him and throw deep. So what do you do? You know, so the biggest thing, the thing that can get us to win the games we need to win and get to the state championship is to continue. It's not about anybody else right now. It's about us continue to become efficient with what we're doing. And you can call it the perfection of execution. If we strive for perfection and execution, we will win the state championship.
I love hearing coaches talk about their players. It's like kids with the best toys in the sandbox. I mean, that's great. Like, what are they going to do? Oh, that's fantastic. We're gonna move off football for a bit, though. What's the biggest difference that you've seen growing up in the city of Oak Ridge and what you see now, Coach?
Oh, wow. I tell you what, it's a lot different. The biggest difference I've seen is that we lost the community identity. It's when I grew up here, it was a big enough city to where we had things, but the people here were small enough community to where we knew each other. We respected each other. Not that there's not any respect or disrespect now. It's just no one interacts anymore. You know, I tell my son and Jordan, my youngest, he's more into it than anybody. Jordan fell in love with Oak Ridge. I think Jordan, when he's a young boy, was with Coach Gaddis in North Carolina and Lexington, and he wanted to be. He always wanted to play for Coach Gaddis. But Jordan really, he listens to these things, and I tell him all the time about. I know you guys are from here, some of you, and going to downtown on Saturday mornings and staying all the way to the afternoons, just walking around in a circle downtown and seeing all your friends, seeing the guys from the west end of town, because I grew up in Woodland, or the far east end of town, and just being able to laugh and joke and cut up and get chased around by the security guys, judge you not to be running in the stores, and they knew your parents, so they'll tell you, say, I'm going to tell your parents, and it was just Officer Munger seeing you and talking to you about the Little League football game, and can you beat Linden, or is Linden going to beat you? Will y'all tackle Darryl Miller? You know, it was just a community. We were a community. We were Oak Ridge. There was a lot of pride in Oak Ridge. You grew up here every Friday night, everything. I remember my teachers in elementary school would say on Fridays at school, it was kind of like a short day. We started off the day doing our lessons or whatever. Then we would go out recess, and I remember Miss Hamrick, whose son was a great player here, would say, y'all not tackling right. Now, she knew we wasn't supposed to tackle at elementary school. Your head's not up when you're tackling. You're supposed to play touch. But at Woodland School in the 5th grade, shoot, we tackled. And then they would kind of end the day and talk about who's going to the game. And I remember one class, it was 1 year. We would have to know what color the other team was to get 5 points. I never would forget that when you came to school that day, at the end of the day, before you left, down in teaching, they called that exit tickets, you know, to show that you know the lesson that went over the day. Well, our lesson on Fridays when I was growing up, I think it was 4th grade, Miss Dyer, and her son played at Oak Ridge, and I think her husband played and won the championship teams, but she would ask, she said, okay, it's Friday. Oak Ridge is playing Dobbins-Bennett. Tell me about Dobbins-Bennett. And you get a little extra point. Well, Oak Ridge colors came from Dobbins-Bennett. Well, what are Dobbins-Bennett colors? And you had to tell them. Or what is Farragut colors? You had to tell them. What is unique about Farragut? They have the star like the Dallas Cowboys. So it was always things like that. But overall, the community, you have so many transients here to where people are in for a little bit and then they're gone, that the city lost this. the city lost its pride. It's an aging city to where most of the people that's here now, because of the housing, we're losing so many young families to move in here because of the housing situation and the age of the houses that we do have, that you either have transients that's in or the people that moved in from outside the area, or the older population. So that's probably the biggest difference that I see. But I can tell you this. I told Coach Gaddis this before the game. Coach Gaddis has a lot of pride in Oak Ridge. You might as well say he's an adopted son because he loves this place. He tells us this every day. Every kid that's played for him since he's been back to tell you, he loves this place. He tells us that every day. And I was telling him this the other day. I went to Grove Market. You guys will know where that's at, right up above the school. And I went to get much sleep because I went to the Tennessee game the night before. And my wife wanted to stay because the game was so close. We were going to leave at halftime. And I went to get, I shouldn't have got it, but I got one of those 5-hour energy drinks because I was so tired. So I go in there, and the lady she had bought a lottery ticket, and she asked me, I had on my coaching, it wasn't a coaching shirt, and she asked, am I going to the game? And I said, yes, ma'am, I'm a coach. So you coach Oak Ridge? I said, yeah. She said, well, y'all better beat them Bluebells. And I looked at her. She said, well, and then another lady was in there. She said, that's right. That I can't wait. I can't wait to Friday again. It's been years since it's been that way. I can't wait to go Friday. And the lady who was a Indian woman behind the counter, she said, oh, and my son is dressing up in a toga. She didn't know what it was called, and we all said a toga. Yeah, he's so excited about it. Y'all better beat them. Y'all beat them old faggot. I don't like them. And I looked, and I was telling Coach Gaddis this, and that's the way it was when I grew up here. When you look at the stands against Dobbins Bennett, and you look at the stands against Farragut, and we had more people at the Clinton game than Clinton. It just it's coming back. The excitement is coming back. When I walk in the neighborhood that I'm from, not from, I grew up in Woodland, but when I walk in Scarborough and I hear them arguing about the game on Friday night, on Saturday morning, it's getting back. You know, and that's the excitement that's going on right now, and hopefully we can keep that going.
That's definitely what you want to hear is people talking about the game the next day when you're out and about. So what are your hopes for the future? Of course, you got kids in the Oak Ridge school system, but you've been a really successful head coach elsewhere. What makes you happier, being a successful head football coach or having your family be in the best place for them?
What makes me happy is seeing my wife happy, seeing my kids happy, and having an opportunity to grow as people. For me, you know, success is so funny. It's a funny word because success and failure, because the one thing we can't control is time. The one thing we don't know with time is what's going to happen the next as it proceeds. So for me, it's learning to live in the now. Right now, I'm assistant coach for my favorite coach, Coach Gaddis. I want so bad for him to submit his legacy and have an opportunity to do that. I want to be a part of that. Right now, you know, that's what my plan is the now and to appreciate what God has given me. I can tell you this, whatever happens to me, my son is not going anywhere for 3 years. So he already told me when opportunities come, you know, and we talk as a family about other opportunities, he'll say, can I stay with Nana? So I know my youngest son, he's not going anywhere. The middle one, Sherrod, I don't think he's going anywhere either. But right now it's just living in the moment, really, 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 honestly, just enjoying this season. You know, like I say, every week, look forward to preparing for the next week. And as far as my future, I don't know. God has a plan for me, and no matter what, I got to walk on his plan. You know, I got to walk toward him and wherever he leads me. I don't know what tomorrow brings, and right now I'm learning to tell myself not to even worry about it. When it's time, it's time. If time is now and time is where I'm at, then that's where I'm going to be. Do I miss being a head coach? Not. I mean, it's a job. You know, after certain years, once you're a head coach and you got the title, you see it as a job. I want all the responsibilities of it? No. You know, what type of place will I go to? How and, you know, will you go to a place that's been winning and you got to keep that up? You go to a place that's building and you got to build and do I have the energy to build and to be patient, you know, to wait out the process, you know. So those are a lot of things you have to consider. But I tell you this, I would not go sideways for nothing, money, anything. I would not stay as an assistant coach. If I'm going to be a consistent coach, I'm going to be an assistant coach at Oak Ridge High School.
Well, that's a great answer. And you know, Kwayu, I've known you for several years, and you're a really good person, a very good person, and that's one reason we really like to have you on the show. Beyond football, you're just such a good person. And I have to say this because you'll understand this. I was most proud of Ted when he said Oak Ridge like an Oak Ridger would. He didn't say Oak Ridge. He said Oak Ridge. And I was like, oh, Ted did a good job of saying Oak Ridge. So,
gotta have a grub with it.
But, yeah, that's right. So, Kwayu, thank you again for being on. You know, what's the next game for Oak Ridge? I know you guys end with a bunch of games on the road. Is that right?
Yeah, the ending is going to be tough. The beginning was tough. We play Anderson County, another great program. Besides Oak Ridge, they're probably, and Austin East is dear to my heart, but in Tennessee, Anderson County and their coaching staff, Gillum David Gillum is probably one of my favorite coaches. He does a great job. At Austin East played against him. He was a young coach, so he would always reach out and ask Coach Graham this. He went to East Tennessee State, where I went to school, and I think his family knew of me when I played ball. I think he had an uncle that played against me or something like that. But he reached out to me, and even then, as a young coach, you knew he was going to be a great coach. He was at Scott County then, and we ended up moving to Anderson County. My last, I was already gone. My last year or two, he became the head coach when Larry Curry retired. But we played them next week, and one thing we know about them, they're going to be well coached. They're going to have a trick. They're going to have a play. They're going to find a way to stay in the game. Defensively, they will do some things to create advantages. We're never going to outflank them. They're going to be in position. So that's going to be a tough game. After that, I don't even know who we play because I'm honestly focusing on Anderson County. That's another tough game. They're not in our district anymore. They call it region now. They're not in our region anymore, but that's going to be a tough game. That they bring a great crowd. They have great support, and they know our kids. The youth league that our kids play in, they play against them also. The last of the schedule, we play some good teams. We play well. Private school team that has a lot of talent, picked up a lot of speed. They're fast. They're probably the fastest team we play this year. That's game 9, and then game 10 will be possibly for the region championship against Campbell County. Those kids, I coached against those kids at Campbell County. Well, they're not kids, they're grown men now. When they were at Anderson County, the Price twins, the Price brothers, they do a great job too. Great coaches. People have bought into their system. The kids have bought in. They're able to keep their kids at Campbell County and get a few kids from some other places too. But they're doing a great job with their program. So it's not, our road is not easy. Coach Gaddis put together a tough schedule, non-conference schedule, and our conference is always tough. So region rather. So that's what we have coming up. Is Anderson County is all I know, and really all I'm going to pay attention to right now. I think we have Sevier County to defend the state runner-up after them. So it doesn't get any easier. We just got to, go to work and keep bring our lunch pails and keep preparing and playing.
Kwayu, it's great having you on. I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great Labor Day weekend. Hope you get some family time in there.
No, we have meetings on. Got to work today. Meetings on Sunday, and then JV game on Monday. So I think my dad gonna put something on the grill, and my family eat, and I get leftovers.
Well, hopefully you enjoy the leftovers. But thanks again for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, I just have to say, and I know you guys agree, but we always have great guests. But every time Kwayu Graham is on, is like I feel much better about life in general. Seriously, I do. I mean, man, that guy's awesome. Jeez.
Hey, Lee.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yes, sir.
I just want to throw in here that we didn't ask him, but Coach Graham is available on social media as Coach Graham 8, and you can also follow, Oak Ridge Sports on Twitter also. So.
Right.
Great guest.
Yeah, he's been with us